All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If anyone else jumps in, then they can join the party. My name is George Summers. I'm the technology coordinator and instructional specialist for Emory Unified School District, and I'll let my partner introduce herself.
Okay. Should I do it in Spanish or English, George?
Uh,
Probably.
Spanish.
Okay. Hola, buenas noches. Yo soy Erika Santana. Soy la coordinadora de los padres bilingüe del distrito escolar.
Okay. Mucho gusto.
So this presentation is the result of a recent parent survey, and in coordination with the school district and Annie Yates Elementary and Middle School.
Okay.
All right.
This is regarding the Google Classroom, right?
Yes, this is
Okay.
Google Classroom for parents.
Okay.
So we're going to talk all about what you need to know about Google Classroom. Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so just as we get started here, I want to tell you how things are going to go. This session is being recorded and the video will be posted on the district and school websites.
Okay.
Since we're a small group, I normally would ask people to put their questions in the chat, but Stephanie, since it's just you, you can, when you want to have a question, you can go ahead and ask.
Okay.
So you won't have to keep yourself muted. Um, Whether you have the camera on or off, it's up to you and your comfort level. This presentation is geared towards 30 minutes with a question time afterwards.
Okay.
Son las normas de la reunión. Esta sesión se está grabando y el video será publicado en los sitios de web del distrito y de las escuelas. Por favor, puede publicar las preguntas en el chat, pero como somos un grupo pequeño, entonces no las puede preguntar. Puede mantenerse en silencio, pero como somos un grupo pequeño, no es necesario. Apague su cámara de web si necesita o si no quiere tenerla prendida, entonces eso está bien. La presentación será de 30 minutos, 20 minutos de preguntas, 5 minutos para pasar a la siguiente sesión.
I speak English just to make everyone's lives easier. Just wanted to let you know.
Well, I think because we're also going to put this on the web, we'll go
okay.
ahead. We'll proceed with the Spanish translation
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
So our objectives for this evening, participants will learn about how Google Classroom is used to manage assignments, how students can use Google Classroom to learn effectively, how students turn in their classwork and get teacher feedback, and how parents can access Google Classroom and receive Guardian notifications.
Okay.
Los objetivos son, los participantes aprenderán sobre cómo Google Classroom se utiliza para ver las tareas asignadas, cómo los estudiantes pueden usar Google Classroom para aprender efectivamente, cómo los estudiantes pueden entregar su trabajo de clase y comentarios de los maestros, y cómo los padres pueden acceder a Google Classroom y recibir notificaciones.
Thank you. So some notes to consider. Not all of our teachers use Google Classroom, but most do. Stephanie, how old is your little one?
She's 6 in first grade.
Six in first grade. So the
Yes.
first grader wouldn't be using Google Classroom, but the sixth grader absolutely would. Okay, good. All right. So you can also see the school website for information about how your student's teacher will interact with the students. Participation is now required as part of attendance. We have to verify participation and engagement as part of our attendance process. Please encourage students to check schedules posted on the website and stick to it. Routine is very important in this process. all of our teachers consider the student-teacher relationship as key to successful learning. And it's very important to make sure your contact information is up to date with the school.
You said the Google Classroom is for what ages? Because my daughter is 6 in the first grade.
So first graders, I'm told, are not using Google Classroom. They're using like a Seesaw
Yeah.
to manage assignments, where the sixth graders definitely are using Google Classroom.
Oh, so starting in 6th grade, they begin to use that?
No, actually, starting in my understanding, it's up to the teacher, but from I think third grade on up
Okay.
is using Google Classroom. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Son notas a considerar. No todos nuestros profesores utilizan Google Classroom, pero la mayoría sí. Consulte el sitio de web de la escuela para obtener información sobre cómo el maestro o maestra de su estudiante interactúa con los estudiantes. Participación es requerido como parte de la asistencia. Por favor, anime a los estudiantes a revisar los horarios publicados en el sitio web y que los sigan diario. La rutina es importante. La relación entre maestros y alumnos es clave para un aprendizaje exitoso, y asegúrese que su información de contacto esté correcta con la escuela.
All right, so what is Google Classroom? Google Classroom is a central hub for teachers to post announcements, assignments, and supporting material. It is also where students can receive feedback and scores on their assignments.
¿Qué es
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
How do parents access the children's scores and grades on Google Classroom? Do we have our own sign-in? Like, how do we get to see it?
So, very good question. We'll be addressing that later in the presentation. So if you have any questions after we discuss that, we're happy to address those.
Okay, thank you.
¿Qué es Google Classroom? Es un centro central para que los maestros publiquen anuncios, tareas y material de apoyo, donde los estudiantes pueden recibir comentarios y puntuaciones sobre sus tareas.
All right, so there are three ways to easily get to Google Classroom. One is to go to in Chrome to classroom.google.com. The other is to click on the 3x3 grid of dots, which we call the waffle, in the upper right corner, and you see that in the animation. And then choose Google Classroom button from there. Or they can click the Google Classroom button at the top, at the bottom of a Chromebook or on an iPad.
¿Cómo acceder a Google Classroom? Es una de las siguientes opciones. En Chrome, vaya a classroom.google.com o haga clic en la parte superior en la esquina derecha de cualquier página de Google y haga clic en el botón Google Classroom. Vea la animación. O también puede hacer clic a Google Classroom en la parte inferior de un Chromebook o en un iPad.
So one of the common problems we see with students using a shared device is that they're not logged into Chrome on their school account properly. And I have a little video to show about that. Students can only join Google Classroom using their school account. If they have other Google accounts, they must make sure to switch to their school account. And I'm going to switch to a video about that right now. And play that. I'm also going to put on the Spanish subtitles.
Have multiple Google accounts, the best way to manage this is through Chrome. Don't add accounts. It just causes problems. Notice here in Google Chrome, when I click on my picture, it shows one account and it says add another account. You do not want to do that. Do not add another account. This causes account conflicts. So when you're in the same account and it's multiple accounts and use a Chrome extension, it's like, which account am I using? When you try to do an add-on and you authorize it, it's pretty common to accidentally authorize it for the account you're not using. So you're like, this doesn't work. You create a Google Docs and you think, where did this go? Well, it created it in the other account. It just causes all kinds of problems because they're sharing the same cookies and things where they're just kind of mixed in the same pot. It's just a mess. So you want to make sure that when you click on your picture in Google that you only see one account. Now Chrome is a different matter. So we're going to look here. Notice that I have this picture 2 times. And so when I click on the one up in the Chrome toolbar, you can see I actually have a lot of Google accounts. So I'm going to select this one and this one. Look how easy it is for me to just open a whole bunch of different Google accounts. But the thing is, I'm in all of them at the same time. But because I did it through Chrome, they are separate. So the cookies on this one doesn't talk to the cookies on this one. And when I make something on this Chrome login, it doesn't create it over here ever. It's beautiful. Look what happens when I separate my. So you'll see I have 5 different Google accounts right now. 5 different Google accounts, and they look up here. You notice that there's no Chrome extensions, where this one has a lot of Chrome extensions because they don't talk to each other. So each Chrome login is unique, and it allows you to do easy working with multiple accounts, especially if like your kid's using your computer sometimes. You can have your kid's account and your account, and you don't have to necessarily log out so they can check their schoolwork really quickly. You can just switch logins. So again, you want to look up here at the top of Chrome, not here where your Google account is, where you're logged into Drive or Gmail. Go a little higher, scroll down, and add as many accounts as you need to.
Mhm.
All right, let me get back into presentation mode here. So you saw that with Spanish subtitles. This is a common thing we saw, especially at the beginning, when students are using maybe a parent's device or the same device as a sibling, where there were multiple Chrome accounts, Google accounts on the same device. So hopefully that video clears up some things. All right, I want to address keeping track of assignments because this is really important for keeping students organized. When you go to Google Classroom, you go to a classes screen in Google Classroom. The assignments, and you'll see a tile for each of your classes. The assignments that are upcoming in the next day or two are listed right there on the title. And then you can click on the tile to go into that classroom.
El seguimiento de trabajo de clase. En la pantalla de clases de Google Classroom, las tareas pendientes en los próximos días se mostrarán en el mosaico de la clase. Haga clic en el título de una clase para ingresar a la clase.
Thank you. Students, especially in middle school and high school, have multiple classes. And so to switch between classes, what you need to do is go to the 3-bar menu in the upper left-hand corner and then choose the desired class. We call that the hamburger menu. I've also heard it called the hamburger menu. But that's how you switch from one class to another.
Para cambiar de clases, use las 3 barras o el menú que le dicen menú de hamburguesa y seleccione la clase deseada.
All right. It's very important for students to keep track of upcoming assignments, and they can do that pretty easily in Google Classroom using what's called the to-do menu, and that's also under the hamburger menu. So they can click on the, or also rather in the at the top of the page, they can click on to do. You're taken to the to do page where you can see assigned items. You can see missing items. Missing items are anything that's been assigned and is past the due date. So those are considered missing by Google Classroom. And of course, you can see the items that are done.
Es importante que los estudiantes vean los trabajos que tienen pendiente y la manera de hacer eso es al hacer el clic en el botón tareas pendientes, se le lleva a la página tareas pendientes donde puede ver los elementos asignados, los elementos faltantes y los elementos listo, haciendo clic en las pestañas en la parte superior.
When students are in Google Classroom in their class, they will see some tabs across the top. They will see the stream. The stream is mostly for announcements. They'll see classwork, which is for assignments. There's a people tab, which lists the classmates in their class. And they may see the grades menu, but there's another way, actually, I'll tell you later, for students to see their grades on assignments.
So, para navegar por Google Classroom, van a ver los títulos que es transmisión, principalmente para anuncios, trabajo en clase, que son asignaciones, personas enseña a los compañeros de su clase y las calificaciones, son las calificaciones en sus tareas y hay otra manera que vamos a enseñar donde puede ver los grados.
Assignments are typically organized by topic or by week. A lot of our teachers use a due today rather, or do now topic, which will appear at the top. And those are assignments that must be done that day, either during synchronous or asynchronous learning. During distance learning, assignments must be completed the same day in order to be considered present for the day. Simply turning in an assignment without doing any work right now is not okay, because if they don't turn in the assignment, they are considered absent.
Navegación por Google Classroom, temas. Las asignaciones están organizadas por tema o por semana. Un tema dice hacer hoy o hacer ahora, indica que las tareas deben completarse ese día. Durante el aprendizaje a distancia, las tareas deben completarse el mismo día para que sea considerada presente por el día. Simplemente entregar una tarea sin hacer nada no está bien.
There are 3 ways that teachers can give an assignment in Google Classroom. One is to assign a copy of one document, like a template, to all the students. That's very common. They can also give all the students one document in which they all contribute and collaborate. Or a student can create their own document and submit it to the assignment as an attachment. When a student turns in an assignment, they can no longer edit that assignment. It's transferred, editing rights are transferred to the teacher, and then they get those edit rights back when the teacher returns it after grading it. The student can either click the turn in button in a Google Doc or in Google Classroom itself to submit an assignment.
Entrega de trabajos. Hay tres maneras de que los maestros puedan asignar tareas. La primera manera es asignar una copia de un documento a todos los estudiantes. La segunda es que entregue a todos los estudiantes un documento para contribuir. La tercera es el estudiante crea su propio documento. Cuando un estudiante entrega una tarea, ya no puede editarla hasta que el maestro la devuelva. El alumno puede hacer clic en el botón entregar en un documento de Google o en Google Classroom.
So here's a video of what it looks like to turn in an assignment. It has no audio, so I'll just talk over it. For an assignment with a pre-assigned document, the student opens the document and completes the assignment. To turn in that Google Doc, I'll let it catch up. So they're going to click on the attachment on the right. To turn in a Google Doc, they can either click the Turn In button at the top of the screen or in Google Classroom on the assignment page. For all other assignments, the student must click the Turn In button in Google Classroom. Google Docs is nice. It has that nice Turn In button.
Para entregar una tarea con un documento preasignado, el alumno abre el documento y completa la tarea. Para entregar un documento de Google, pueden hacer clic en el botón Entrar de la parte superior de la página o hacer clic en el botón Entrar en la página de tareas en Google Classroom. Para todos los demás asignaciones, el estudiante debe hacer clic en el botón Entrar en Google Classroom.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Again.
go ahead.
Sorry. You were on a screen, and at the top of the screen, it says stream, classwork, people, and grades.
Yes.
What screen was that? Because I don't see grades to click
Okay,
on.
so grades used to be there. Now it's not. I will explain a little later in the presentation how students can see their grades.
Okay, thank
There
you.
is a way for them to see their grades, but the teachers have a grades tab. And at one point, the students did too. And they've changed that, and I'll address that later in the presentation.
Okay,
Good question, though. Good question.
thank you.
So students can turn in pre-assigned documents by clicking Turn In. They can also add documents or create new ones to attach to this assignment. Students should make sure to read and complete all assignment directions. Students can also unsubmit and resubmit their assignment. A date stamp is attached to each of these events. Students should not expect credit on an assignment after the due date unless allowed to turn in late work by the teacher.
Los estudiantes pueden entregar documentos preasignados haciendo clic al entregar. También pueden agregar documentos adicionales o crear otros nuevos para adjuntar a la tarea. Los estudiantes deben asegurarse de leer y completar todas las instrucciones de la tarea. Los estudiantes también pueden anular el envío y volver a enviar su tarea. Se adjunta un sello de fecha a cada uno de estos eventos. Los estudiantes no deben esperar crédito en una tarea después de la fecha de vencimiento o menos que el maestro les permita entregar el trabajo tarde.
All right. One thing we do see is a lot of students, quite a few students who are turning in the assignment without actually doing anything on the document itself. So we want to emphasize not to turn it in unless you are actually done with the assignment and complete and read the directions and did what was requested.
Muchos de los estudiantes estamos viendo que ha estado entregando tareas y no han hecho el trabajo. Por favor, no entreguen sus tareas hasta que terminen y acaben todo el trabajo.
All right, and this is addresses that question that you had, Devana, about student work. I need to open this up in a different tab here and show you. This is how students can see their grades. Let me just switch on subtitles. I forgot to do this part ahead of time.
What work does a student need to do? Now, student view looks a little different than teacher view. Where we have a create button, they have a view your work button. You want to direct students to click on view your work from the classwork tab. They click on view your work. They're able to see a list of their assignments. If they're missing, assigned. If there's a comment, and they can click on missing to filter missing assignments.
So that's, oh, there, that's what we have.
All right, so real easy.
That doesn't show the grade. That just shows if it's turned in, missing, or late.
It will show the scores, and I can't unfortunately demonstrate that right now, but that is where they will see scores on those assignments in their view, right?
Okay,
Okay.
I'm on my son's view, and do I click on the actual assignment to see the grade?
Yes, I think you actually do need to open up the actual assignment to see the score.
Okay, because we've done that and we haven't seen the score yet.
Okay, and it could be something the teacher has to turn on for their grade book to show the scores. So we can talk to the teachers about that. But
Okay.
it will list the scores they get.
Yeah, I don't see scores.
Okay, we will address that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Some teachers use Google Meet with Google Classroom. If the teacher has set this up, you can access the Meet link at the top of the screen. A lot of our teachers, however, are using Zoom, but if they're using Google Meet for their virtual meetups, then that's how to access that. Either at the top of the stream page or from the top of the classwork page, they can see the Meet link for that class.
Google Meet y Google Classroom, si el maestro ha configurado esto, puede acceder enlace reunir desde la parte superior de la página. Opresione Stream y desde la parte superior de la página de trabajo en clase.
All right, so this is another question that was raised and is a point of confusion. There is no parent portal for Google Classroom. It wasn't designed that way. So if you want to see the grades on assignment and the teacher feedback, you need to log in as your student to see the assignments, the grades, and the feedback given on those assignments. You can also request that a teacher sign you up for what are called guardian notifications, and I'll explain those in a second.
¿Cómo los padres pueden acceder a Google Classroom? Google Classroom no tiene un portal para los padres. Utilice el inicio de sesión de los estudiantes para ver todas las tareas, calificaciones y comentarios. Solicite un maestro que lo registre para recibir notificaciones de tutores.
All right, so in order to get Guardian notifications, you have to request the teacher to sign you up for them. Notifications include a list of upcoming assignments and announcements, but no grades or teacher feedback. Parent will receive an invite in their email. Make sure that the school has your current contact information. And then the parent, upon receiving that invite, will have 3 options. They can either get daily notifications sent each weekday afternoon, or they can get weekly notifications sent each Friday afternoon, or you can opt out entirely. And I should also add that this will be a Guardian notification for all of your students' classes that they're enrolled in Google Classroom.
¿Cómo obtener notificaciones de tutor? Pídale las notificaciones al maestro para que lo registre. Las notificaciones incluyen una lista de las próximas tareas, anuncios, pero no hay calificaciones ni comentarios de los maestros. El padre recibe una invitación en su correo electrónico. Asegúrese que la escuela tenga su información de contacto actual. El padre tiene la opción de uno de los siguientes. Las notificaciones diarias se envían cada tarde de lunes a viernes. Las notificaciones semanales enviadas cada viernes por la tarde o exclusión total.
This is an example of a Guardian summary. Parents would get an email summary of assignments for all Google Classroom classes. They will see only the assignments and their due dates. They will not be able to see grades or teacher feedback. To see grades or teacher feedback, parents must sign into the Google Classroom as the student.
Este es un ejemplo de un resumen del tutor. Los padres recibirán un resumen por correo electrónico de las asignaciones para todas las clases de Google Classroom. Verán solo las asignaciones y sus fechas de vencimiento. No podrán ver calificaciones ni los comentarios de los maestros. Para ver calificaciones o los comentarios de los maestros, los padres deben iniciar sesión en Google Classroom como el estudiante.
At this time, we'd like to allow you the opportunity to ask questions about Google Classroom. Because the group is small, you can go ahead and ask your question, and we'll do our best to answer it and clarify some things for you. Any questions? All right, we want to thank you for coming. We hope we've answered your questions so that you know what to expect with your student is using Google Classroom. We know it's not, because it doesn't have a parent portal, it's not as easy to see the students' grades. We are transitioning to a new student management system, and the parent portal and student portal will be open soon, but it's not ready yet to be launched. And we're just trying to tune some things on the back end for that. So if there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and close the session. And we thank you for coming.